It is understandable to feel frustrated by such customer requests. A technician's job includes providing information about a repair, but asking for detailed sketches and part numbers for self-repair is generally unreasonable. There are several reasons why declining to comply with such a request is often the appropriate course of action. Firstly, professionalism is paramount. As a technician, maintaining a professional demeanor and avoiding any appearance of condescension is crucial. Providing detailed information for a do-it-yourself repair can undermine your expertise and diminish your perceived value. Secondly, there are liability considerations. If the customer purchases incorrect parts or makes mistakes during the repair, you could potentially be held liable for resulting damages or injuries, even though you did not perform the work. Thirdly, intellectual property comes into play. Your technical knowledge and expertise are valuable assets. Freely sharing this information can devalue your services and the investment you've made in your training and experience. Fourthly is the potential for economic loss. If the customer successfully repairs the lights themselves, you lose a potential revenue stream. When faced with such a request, it is important to communicate your position respectfully and clearly. Explain that providing detailed instructions falls outside the scope of your service. Emphasize that it is ultimately in their best interest to have the repair performed by a qualified professional. This ensures the job is done correctly and safely, minimizing the risk of future problems and potential liability. You could explain that electrical work can be dangerous and requires specific knowledge and skills to be performed safely. Cutting corners can lead to fire hazards or electrical shocks. Suggesting that a qualified professional like yourself can ensure the work is done safely and to code is a way to frame your refusal in a way that benefits the customer. You could also state that you are happy to provide a detailed estimate for the repair, which would include all parts and labor costs. This gives them a clear understanding of the investment required for a professional repair. Avoid getting drawn into a debate about the cost of individual parts. Focus on the value of your expertise and the peace of mind that comes with a professional repair. If the customer persists in demanding detailed instructions, you can politely reiterate your position and suggest that they seek a second opinion from another qualified technician. Remember, it's perfectly acceptable to protect your professional interests and avoid situations that could expose you to unnecessary liability. A professional repair also comes with a warranty, providing further assurance that the work will be done correctly and any future issues will be addressed. Trying to save money on electrical repairs can often lead to higher costs in the long run due to improper installation, safety hazards, or the need for repeated repairs. By hiring a professional, the customer can avoid these potential pitfalls and ensure the job is done right the first time. Providing a detailed schematic and parts list not only empowers the customer to potentially perform the repair themselves, but also enables them to shop around for the cheapest parts and labor, further undercutting the value of your services. Technicians invest significant time and money in acquiring the knowledge and skills necessary to diagnose and repair electrical systems. It is reasonable to expect compensation for this expertise. Ultimately, it is a business decision. You have the right to choose which services you offer and to set your prices accordingly. If a customer is unwilling to pay for your expertise, it is perfectly acceptable to decline the job. Stand your ground and confidently state that you are providing them with a fair price. If the client were to make a mistake, not only could they be hurt, but the insurance company would be involved if the shop were to burn down and they find that an unlicensed person tried to perform the work. Be very careful not to give specific answers, such as first disconnect this wire, then pull this part, etc., or some other instruction that leads to an accident. Even if you stated be sure to turn the power off first, you are responsible if they don't and they get hurt. When you don't supply the technical information, you are not responsible. You went on a service call to do work. You are there to work. You are not there to coach, train, or provide a DIY opportunity for them. You are a technician and need to maintain the integrity of your position. Consider the request this way. If you hired a plumber, would you expect them to tell you how to do the job and what parts to buy? Or if you went to the doctor, would you ask to provide the steps to perform the surgery on yourself? Not to mention, this type of request can be a form of theft. If you spend an hour trying to determine the problem with the wiring, and then they expect you to tell them what you did and you are left unpaid, it is stealing. You could state that you would be violating company policy to provide this information. And if you don't work for a company, it is now your company policy. If this blimpies is part of a franchise, then you should contact the franchise owner and let them know about the situation. They might suggest that the franchisee use only specific technicians and electricians, and they may want to do some investigating on their own. Also, providing detailed information could open you up to competition. If other people know the types of equipment, model numbers, and parts you use, they could also bid on a job for the customer as well. This is the equivalent of teaching people how to compete against you. Be professional but firm, and make it clear that you are there to do the work, or not at all. Do not negotiate with the customer to find some middle ground, because you will only be frustrated and lose money. If you did decide to make an exception in this case, what is stopping other customers from doing this to you as well?